Yeah, I think the main thing I've learned from today is the importance of making sure that it's a genuinely community-led recovery in the way we undertake our work. I'm from the Department of Environment, Land, Water and Planning, and some of what we can do is really listen to the priorities of community, listen to what they need and what information they need when, depending where each individual is at in their own personal journey. But also in the environmental recovery, this event means there's going to be a lot of eco grief across the community. A lot of people either live in these communities because they love the natural environment, or they work in these communities because they're committed to it. And so in our department, how can we help to show the story of what's going to happen over the weeks and months to come as the natural environment starts to recover? What would that look like and what can people expect? That's the kind of key insight I got out of today.
Probably today probably reiterated to me the importance of being a community-led recovery. The language up home, like up in Corryong in our community, has been around local government driving what happens and what doesn't happen and who gets engaged in the process of community consultation. For me, I very much reiterated, I think that sometimes it's the people who don't have the voice who need to be heard. It's not the people that put their hands up and make all the noise. I think we've started a bit of a groundswell of a community-led conversations, and like I'm the representative of my bigger community. There was 26 landowners impacted directly by the fires in our community. I was one of those. I'm representing them, so it's easier for them to come and speak to me about what their needs are and have that personal approach. And then I'm advocating for them in the networks that I have through AVCLP and further. And that seems to be that's working for our community. When people like Blaze Aid, as an amazing organisation, have come into our community and offered help, but as we were learning today, some people are ready for that help and others aren't, and that perception of pressure that has been put on to those has it's been a bit overwhelming. I actually had a call this week from my network to say someone was struggling with potential suicidal thoughts, and for me to engage my community to support. So I think today the message has been how important it is that the people who are engaged with their communities actually take on roles that their community have identified them for anyway. And local government just needs to have a bit of a listening to their community. I think that was the outtake for me today.
I think the most important thing that I've learnt from today, it actually reaffirmed what we already know from working with many disasters, is that we need to resource the local community and the local community organisations to lead the recovery, and that outside organisations need to support that and not come in and take over. Everywhere you go, everyone says the same. The skills and the knowledge are in the community. They just need support to come through and make their own decisions and do it in their own time and not be rushed. I think that's really, really important. There's some things that have to be done early, but there's other things that can take time, and it doesn't have to fit into some government's artificial time frame or their box.
Look, even before today, we realised that the recovery has got to be community-led. You can't just lob things on top of people, and they've got all the ideas of how we can recover quickly. So it won't be quickly; it'll take years to recover from an event like this. And the best part too is the community. They need face-to-face contact, and that's why we've set up a community recovery hub in Corryong at the old junior campus, and that's going to be a one-stop shop, and that's where all the agencies are going to be housed. And people don't want to be filling out forms or going online. They want to talk to someone face to face, and that has been set up. It's been going now for about 2 weeks, and we're getting really good feedback.
From today, I think a lot of reflection on the long-term nature of recovery from the bushfire. It impacts communities in so many different ways, dependent on the community itself, and different sectors of the community will be impacted at different points along the time. So a short-term approach to supporting communities is needed now, but then also thought to how you're going to continue to support those communities going out. And that's really been emphasised from the learnings from the 2009 bushfires and what they're seeing 10 years on from in those areas, and the need for support amongst the community is vital even at this point in time.
What's been really positive about being here today is that there seems to be a really widely held acknowledgement and recognition that the answers to how we recover and rejuvenate these communities long term that have been affected by the bushfires is about the capability that already sits within the community members of these affected areas, and that if we give them the time and the space to go through sometimes the grieving or the getting through the immediate recovery period, and if we give them the patience and the time and some of that kind of resources, then we can expect that communities will not only recover, but they can, over the long term, become stronger than they ever were in the past. And I think also that acknowledgement that climate change is real and climate change needs to be addressed, and that rural people are on the front line of that, also gives us an opportunity to look at how we close the divide that currently exists between urban people and rural people. And I see that that's a very hopeful thing to come out of today's workshop.